Calaroga Shark Media.
Happy 420 to those who celebrate. I don't, but I don't judge. I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news, a daily briefing on stand-up comedy, comedians, and the comedy industry. Now, somebody who I think does celebrate the day is Dave Chappelle. Dave gave a full interview to NPR. In it, he called out Republicans, accusing members of the Republican Party of weaponizing transgender jokes. Dave told NPR's Newsmakers, I did resent that the Republican Party ran on transgender jokes. You know, I felt like they were doing a weaponized version of what I was doing. That's not what I was doing. I'll give you an example. Before I learned the phrase, I respectfully decline, I was on Capitol Hill and everybody ran up to take pictures with me from every congressional office. And I used to take pictures with whoever asked. I didn't ask how they vote or what their voting record is. At first, it was CBC people. Then here comes Lauren Boebert. She said, can I get a picture? And I'd already taken 40 pictures. I didn't want to say no in front of everybody, but I didn't know the phrase, I respectfully decline. So I just took the picture. And then she posted the picture. Before I could even get from there to the show, she says something to the effect of just two people that know that it's just two genders, just instantly, like weaponized or politicized. So I got to the arena and I lit her ass up for doing that. And she should never do that to a person like me. Dave said, I'm not even mad people take issue with my work. Good, fine, who cares? What I take issue is with the idea that because they don't like it, I'm not allowed to say it. Art is a nuanced endeavor. I have a belief that they're trying to take nuance out of speech in American culture, that they're making people speak as if they're either on the right or the left. Everything seems absolute, and any opinion I respect is way more nuanced than those binary choices they keep putting in front of us. I don't see the world in red or blue. Dave was asked, does he find the President of the United States funny? Dave said, maybe if he wasn't president, I'd think he was funny. Or maybe at times I do think, that's wearing thin. There are funny things about him, like if I were to talk to him, it would be funny. But I think what he does is so consequential and so much of these things, in my lifetime, I've never seen anything of a phenomenon quite like it. I'm not trying to be political, but it's remarkable. I don't know how funny it is. Chappelle also went on Michelle Obama's podcast. We know this because it was recorded at the new home of WYSO Radio in Yellow Springs. I told you last week about how Chappelle helped them with their new studio. We were told the conversation covered many topics, such as why Dave Chappelle lives in Yellow Springs. While I was looking for it, I noticed Michelle Obama has been talking to a lot of comedians. Conan was on that show, and last week she had on Jimmy Kimmel. And speaking of Jimmy Kimmel, out on Hulu today, it's 4x20 Quick Hits, an anthology series, executive produced by Jimmy Kimmel, highlighting cannabis and the people who love it. All 4 20-minute films, get it? Yeah, all 4 20-minute films streamed today, 420. Jimmy Kimmel said, Christmas has a whole cable channel dedicated to holiday programming. For 420, we made 4 20-minute-long documentaries for those who celebrate with trees of a different kind. Jimmy Kimmel previously was the EP for High Hopes, a Hulu reality series about 2 brothers trying to take their marijuana dispensary to new heights. Also out today on Netflix, it's Funny AF with Kevin Hart, a comedy competition unfolding over 3 weeks, building towards 2 live episodes on Netflix. Viewers around the world vote in real time to decide who takes home the title. The Netflix folks put out some FAQs. FAQ number 1. All right, what's on today? Well, episodes 1 through 4. Next week, you get episodes 5 and 6, and then live episodes on May 4th and May 5th. That's when you get to vote. You can't vote on something that's already recorded. On May 4th, 6 semifinalists selected in episode 6 will compete for a spot in the finale. Then, the next night, the final 4 contestants will perform, and viewers will once again vote in real time. Who can vote? Any Netflix member watching the show live can vote from anywhere in the world. How do you vote? You will vote directly on your TV using your remote or through the Netflix mobile app. Voting opens during specific moments in each live episode and remains open for a limited time, so you have to watch live to participate. The series features a rotating panel of comedy stars who join Kevin Hart to help evaluate the contestants. The special guest judges include Keegan-Michael Key, Tom Segura, Kumail Nanjiani, Chelsea Handler, and the very soon-to-be really overexposed Nikki Glaser. We'll get to that. Contestants from around the country will face challenges designed to mirror the real-life grind of comedy, including brutal open mic sets, bomb performances, last-minute rewrites, and the pressure of performing on big stages. Moving on to Nikki Glaser. Got a lot of Nikki to talk about today. I think someone is trying to reshape her image. I have floated this theory on the program before, and now I am totally convinced that they're trying to get her out of being like, the roast comic talks about sex and reposition her as one of the elites. I've got a quote from Chris Rock here that you're just... we'll get to that. My head's exploding. But it's going to be a big week for Nikki Glaser, who has her special coming out on Friday. But we've also learned that on Thursday, Nikki Glaser will host the 2026 Time 100 Gala. For the first time, the red carpet ahead of the event will be live streamed, allowing fans all over the world to be part of the legendary night. One of the 100 most influential people in the world is your host, Nikki Glaser. Now listen to this quote from Chris Rock in the print edition of the 100. Each person is honored by somebody else who speaks about them. In Nikki Glaser's case, it is Chris Rock, who says that Nikki Glaser has all the tools for comedic stardom, okay? But has the potential to go far beyond that. Quoting Chris Rock, I hope she realizes she has the potential to not just a great comedian, but a great artist who uses the power that comes with this moment to approach her career like Madonna or Leonardo DiCaprio and work with only the best. I hope this is just the beginning of an incredible, multifaceted, Steve Martin-esque career. Chris Rock. Chris, you there? Chris Rock, are you listening? Tap the brakes, dude. You sound insane. Madonna, Leo, Steve Martin, Nikki Glaser. Should we play Which One of These Does Not Belong? Nikki's wonderful and all, but we're, a year out from Who's Nikki Glaser to she's on the Tom Brady roast and is host of the Golden Globes? Tap the brakes. I'm not saying she's bad, but relax before you put her in the Hall of Fame of Hall of Fame. My kudos to Nikki Glaser's PR team and the agents and whoever is behind this, but because, boy, they are just getting the messaging out. Times article is titled, Nikki Glaser is saying yes to it all. We are told if Nikki Glaser is ever in legal trouble, she will call Kim Kardashian. The two just wrapped a movie together. So you see what I'm saying here? We are moving Nikki away from roast comedian and, Golden Globes following up for Joe Coy. This is now establishment Nikki Glaser. Hollywood insider Nikki Glaser is what's going on here. It's neither good nor bad. I just want to call everyone out on it. I see what's going on here. Nikki Glaser says, I'm proud to say that I have Kim Kardashian's phone number and she would take my call at any time of night. She went to law school. She's smart and calculating in a really brilliant way, and I know she would go to bat for me on almost anything. In the next week, I might be scared to text her, but right now, I feel like it's a solid connection. We then go through Nikki Glaser's resume, Dancing with the Stars, Masked Singer, F-Boy Island, Blind Date. I think we're going to try and forget about that stuff. Even Time admits it. They say she was for a long time, not exactly A-list. Nikki says, I don't have as many famous friends as you think. They're all comics you don't know. Then we go through the roast of Tom Brady and the Golden Globes. Then she talks about the movie and says, in Hollywood, you try so hard to be in things, and then you reach a certain level of fame, and they're just like, here you go. And you're like, but I haven't proven myself to you yet. Nikki, they have decided you're the one. Enjoy the ride. We're told Nikki Glaser is now rereading Tina Fey's memoir, Bossy Pants. She just has a way of her distinct voice coming off the page. You get approached about books, and they're like, do a ghostwriter. And it's like, that's just not an option for a comic. Nikki says, I want to write a really great rom-com and do it before I'm totally aged out of rom-com status. She talks about leveling up her career. If something has to give, it has to be personal relationships. Ever having children, romantic love, God, that's so sad. I don't know if she wanted to have children or not, but if she's giving it up for the career, that is sad to me. Nikki said, I've always dreamed of having this kind of success, and I really didn't think it was going to happen for me, and I had accepted that. I was at peace with it. So I feel like I've just been given this opportunity to do exactly what I've always dreamed of, so I have to say yes to everything. Skipping ahead, and maybe Johnny Mac is not crazy, Nikki Glaser said, it used to worry me more that I'm like the sex comic, and then I'm not going to be family friendly. They're not going to let me on network TV. I'm not going to be able to be in movies because they've heard too much about my graphic sex life. I realize that people can really separate you into different spaces. Time tells us Glaser may now be a Hollywood insider. There they said it, but she actually does her best work in St. Louis. She explains, I'm a workaholic, and if I live in New York or LA, I'll be doing a podcast every day. I'll say yes to a stand-up spot every night. I compare it to being an alcoholic. Going to St. Louis is like locking up the liquor because there's no work for me in St. Louis. This is quite lengthy. We'll get into a little more later in the week because I have some clips from Nikki Glaser herself. She caught up with Fox News Digital. In the first clip, she talks about her relationship with her fans.
I mean, honestly, they're everything. I feel like I sometimes get tired of artists saying, I have the best fans. It's like, of course, they love you. That's obviously. But, you really, the longer you are in this career, you realize, it's the people that saw something in you whenever, maybe it was when some people discovered me on the Tom Brady roast, and that was most people. And then there's people that have discovered me when I was on Last Comic Standing 25 years ago. And so it's, but they all, I feel like, whenever they discover me and see something in me that they like, it feels like, as a comedian that puts everything out there and really puts myself into my art, I feel like my fans, I know them and they know me. And to be honest with you, modeled my career a lot after being a Swiftie, and I want my fans to feel the same way I feel as a Swiftie, of like understood and like I know this person, whether or not I know her or not, and that I know that she likes and appreciates me. So I always try to I always try to remember that as like a fan of people, I want my fans to feel the same way.
In this clip, Nikki Glaser talks about the roasts.
I think the line is always changing. There's always like a different vibe in the room. There's always different headlines that maybe are it's too soon, and then maybe it's too soon 2 days before the Globes, and I don't want to do that joke, and then 2 days later, no one's talking about that anymore. So it's like, okay, I can joke about it. So the line's constantly moving. I think every year I get a little bit more room to go harder, and that it becomes almost not a point of pride, but almost the celebrities want it because they know that I'm not going to say something so scathing it's going to ruin their evening, that it's almost like I've heard that it's an honor that when I roast people, like people like it. And I know some people don't like it, and I try to feel that out. But that means everything to me that someone would ever even want me to make fun of them.
Interestingly enough, she is not taking part in the roast of Kevin Hart, even though she'll be at the Netflix Is a Joke Comedy Festival, which is part of my theory that they are trying to reposition her career. Okay, Nikki Glaser, has the line in comedy moved?
I am not a comedian that's like, I'll never apologize. I have made some really bad choices in my life in terms of like what I thought was funny at the time. And obviously things change over time. And so you look back 20 years at jokes you were doing on stage and you're like, I would never say that now. And I shouldn't have said it then even, but I was just kind of an idiot and young and feeling out this business and maybe hanging around the wrong crowds that were giving me the wrong feedback for what works. And so I am always willing to apologize for something I said. If it truly hurt someone's feelings, even if I think the joke is funny, I might stand by it and go, it's funny, but I've pulled back on so many jokes that I didn't do that were the funniest jokes I've ever written because they would hurt someone's feelings. I think that comes first, and it should.
Coming up at noon Eastern today, we will find out if Nikki Glaser is the winner of Comedy Survivor. Coming up at noon Eastern, the winner of Comedy Survivor, is it Nikki Glaser or Sarah Silverman? Then, on Thursday, it's the 2026 Comedy Draft. This has come out really well. We have 5 comedy teams representing different mindsets, like industry comics, the alti comics, and each team drafted a lineup of 5 performers. It came out really well. That will be Thursday's episode. Why Thursday? That's when the NFL draft is, and I needed to pre-tape an episode this week. I watched Trevor Noah's special. At first, I was like, this is my favorite special of the year. And then I checked my notes and I'm like, oh no, Chris Fleming's special. Chris Fleming's special is going to be really hard to beat. Probably winds up as the number one just because it's so different and awesome and hilarious. But I really liked Trevor's special because it's mostly of a piece. Now, his closer is almost like a separate show and a different vibe. But that first, I don't know what it is, 48 minutes, I'll guess, is all of a piece. And he's talking about hosting the Grammys and Trump taking a shot at him and some other political stuff. And it's just fantastic. Really impressed by Trevor Noah's special. I enjoyed it a lot. Back to the Time 100 most influential people. On that list is Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan being endorsed by TV's Mike Rowe. I've met Mike a million years ago, was a cool guy. Mike Rowe said, I'd like to tell you I enjoyed every moment of my interview with Joe Rogan, but that wouldn't be entirely true. Never mind podcasting, Joe Rogan has changed broadcasting. His conversations have moved markets, influenced elections, and introduced millions of people to countless subjects that they didn't know they were interested in. He has defied our short attention spans and given his guests, for better or worse, enough time to reveal their true selves. In other words, by letting people talk, he's changing the way we listen. Billy Crystal returning to Broadway. He'll have a one-man show, 860. 860 was the address of the home Billy Crystal lost in the 2025 Palisades fire. Billy says, we lived there for 46 years. I invite you to come inside 860, and I'll tell you all the funny and touching things that happened there, not only in my career, but to our family. It's a joyous, heartfelt visit about how with the love of family and friends and your inner strength, you can get through tough times. I look forward to returning to Broadway and welcoming audiences to 860. Previews begin in October, then a limited 12-week engagement at the Schubert Theater in New York City. And we're getting a little long here today. A quick hit from the Sydney Comedy Festival. Richard Gadd, that's the guy from Baby Reindeer, he has canceled his appearance at the Sydney Comedy Festival. He was supposed to appear at the Sydney Opera House, a beautiful building. You've heard of it. Well, I've been inside it. It is awesome. Richard Gadd was going to perform there on Monday, May 11th for a one-night-only live on-stage conversation. That show has now been canceled. At the time of this recording, a reason has not been given. The Sydney Opera House said, we regret to inform you that in conversation with Richard Gadd, will not proceed. And that is your comedy news for today. All right, coming up at noon, it is the finale, the reveal. Who is the comedy survivor? I'll catch up with you guys in a bit.